Good morning. My name is Dale Hawthorne. I'd like to welcome you to my channel. If this is your first time, if you're coming back, I appreciate your attention, and I'd like to go through a couple things right now. This is going to be a fairly short video because most of what I would have to say is on my personal blog, and I put those together at the beginning of the year and did some adding to them, and I don't have a lot to add to them right now, but there will be two messages there which um, I assume you can read. I can assume you can read English prose. So there'll be two there. Prototype, which I deal with Genesis 2:24 and how that's a prototype for marriage. And the next one is on divorce. The single guy lectures everyone on marriage because he can. I'm not the single guy, Jesus is, but he talks about divorce and marriage there. And I'm referring you to those to read those if you're wanting to know about marriage and divorce. And there's not, as I said, um, not planning on adding much more right now. Most of what I had to possibly be saying right now I already put down there. But there is something I did notice. Um, I've been hearing about women divorcing their husbands because they're unhappy. And if you're suffering from depression and anxiety, I think you really need to understand that the husband can't take those away. He's not responsible for your unhappiness or if your mental health has been deteriorating, however supportive he is. He doesn't have a magic wand to make you happy if your mental health is suffering. So the thing is to get help, get counseling, look at talk therapy, and don't divorce a good man for no fault of his own because you've become unhappy. And we saw that type of escape modeled back in the movie Kramer versus Kramer back in 1979. Joanna Stern Kramer, the character portrayed by Meryl Streep. When I consider that movie, I go, why didn't she pursue therapy much earlier? And why didn't she talk to her husband, get him down and talk to him much earlier? Um, and why did she pursue divorce rather than separation with possible reconciliation rather than divorce and dating someone else? Yeah, Meryl Streep is attractive enough that she could probably find someone else, but she'd still be bringing her own baggage into whatever marriage she would formulate there. And I think Ted Kramer and Joanna Stern Kramer might have been able to reconcile if they had done these steps. But again, that's a movie. That's fiction. That's someone's portrayal. Life is a lot more complicated. It doesn't have as many easy answers. And unfortunately, I think that many women who, if their mental health starts to deteriorate, if they're caught up in the misery of anxiety and depression, that they blame the husband and go into divorce. One thing I did notice in the past couple weeks, though, I've had several relatives pass away who grew up on farms and lived on farms. My mother grew up on a farm, and she uh, moved to the suburbs and city with my father when she got married there. I noticed that the women who remained farm wives in my family didn't suffer from the anxiety and depression that others who went to the city and the suburbs did, and those who were involved in secular jobs. Again, they weren't career women that we would call them that. Um, they weren't the high-powered lawyers, etc., the advertising executives, and so on. They did have secular jobs, but they didn't have careers. So I would advise you, before considering divorce, check out your environment. Check out your personal environment, what you're doing. Could you be absorbing and pursuing unrealistic expectations for your life that you got to find yourself? Well, there's nothing that says that we'll find ourselves by doing that. As a matter of fact, we are social creatures living under God, and often we do find ourselves when we're with others and working with others. We're not going to find ourselves off in a little me-topia. Not a utopia, but a me-topia, about me. As a matter of fact, I think if a person's mental health is suffering, that's just going further into what the problem will be. If there's unhappiness, if you're suffering from anxiety and depression, or maybe just isolation and boredom. Life can be pretty boring. And I noticed that the women I know who remain on the farm, they weren't under their husband's thumb. They were strong women. They could handle guns. They could help with the harvest. They could help with the animals. And, you know, it's not easy to handle full ground cattle, is it? Even goats can be difficult for people. And, miniature goats are much easier to handle physically, but goats have some interesting personalities. So they're able to see their husbands more during the day. It was almost a regular occurrence um, that the farm husbands would be there for lunch at least a good part of the day and be able to work with their wives, even if they were out plowing or working in the fields. They would usually be back there. And one thing I also notice is that they wouldn't have suffered from aggression from other women on the job or in their social circles nearly as much. They weren't suffering from the aggression from the queen bees, the female bullies that they usually might meet on a secular job. And again, a lot of the women in our world coming up through our school systems have real experience with these mean girls, the women queen bees and the female bullies. And going out to a secular job, you may be exposed to them again unwillingly and through no fault of your own, no choice of your own, and having to deal with them. So see if that could be a problem. Or could it be that you're enmeshed in cutthroat competition with other women? Women are very competitive, and that may be what you're doing. You're competing and trying to either beat down, put down someone, or respond to the beat downs and put downs of someone else in your life. And your husband has nothing, may not even know about that. These may be the real problem, not the marriage, not the husband. So I encourage you to, first of all, as I just said, get help, counseling, talk therapy. Don't divorce a good man for no fault of his own just because you're unhappy. And look at your environment. Is the problem the women you're hanging around with in the job, in your social circle? Are they making you miserable? So that's all I had to say on that. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. And please click like and subscribe. There'll be more I have to come and put together in the days to come. So thank you again.